You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back on air with Chris Shanafelt as we continue our Player Spotlight series with the 2020 NFL Draft Class. And I'm now joined by Kam Prewitt, the cornerback out of Campbell University. Kam, I appreciate you taking the time this morning. How's everything going as we are 3 weeks away from the NFL Draft?
I'm around excited. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. And before we get to your collegiate career, Kam, let's start off by talking about the draft process itself. Year after year, we always see guys make great impressions to NFL teams after having a big-time pro day. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic caused by the coronavirus, things took a turn about 3.5-4 weeks ago when majority of the pro days were canceled. Where have you been training at for the past 3 or 4 months, preparing for your pro day? And were you lucky enough to participate in a pro day or a combine of some sort, or will you hold a mock pro day at the facility or anything like that?
Yeah, I actually just had a mock pro day a couple of days ago. Last Friday. Here down here in Birmingham, Alabama. That's where I was training at. I was training at Extreme Fitness and Performance with a guy called Kevin Brown. He kind of trains all the top guys and NFL guys that come back that's from down here. So we kind of been training the past 3 or 4 months, and we got a chance to display that on video last week.
Awesome. Was there a specific pro day or combine activity drill that you were looking forward to taking part in the most? What are some of the numbers you put up at that mock pro day, Kam?
Oh, yeah. A lot of scouts was contacting me and my agent about can I run and whatnot. So I was just looking forward to, getting a 40 time in and doing, the position drill so they can see that I can move and plan and break. And I ended up posting 4.44.40.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of good for me.
Absolutely. And obviously we'll talk more about your game here in a bit, but especially with the physicality that you bring to the cornerback position, being able to run that 4.44.40, certainly got to think that helps your draft stock from here on out. How about current height and weight, Kam? Latest listing I've seen was 5'11", 190. Is that about where you're at today?
Right now, kind of at 5'11", 185. I know it's Tropical Bowl, I kind of lost. I was around 180, but I picked it back up and got around 185, 187. I'm around that right now.
Well, it sounds like you're making the best of the situation, caused by this pandemic. Again, you didn't have an official pro day, but you did have a mock pro day last week. You were able to get that 4.44 40-yard dash in. And then lucky enough, you were able to get in front of some scouts at both the FCS National Bowl, and then a couple of weeks later, you impressed enough in that game to be invited back to the Tropical Bowl, which included some FBS talent. How big of an opportunity was that for you, especially coming from a smaller school, to be able to get in front of some scouts and perform with and against some of the top talent in the country?
Oh, yeah, that was real big for me. When I got the call to come to the FCS Bowl, that was my main thing, to impress enough to get to the Tropical Bowl, because a lot of scouts would contact me about being around better talent per se and want to see how I match up against that. So I was glad to be able to go against the Tropical Bowl.
Were you able to meet with any teams, Kam? What were those conversations like? How do you think they view you as a prospect for the next level?
Well, I can say Campbell. I was kind of shook up about it because I didn't have a lot of zone tape. But they weren't tripping at all. It was most guys play more zone than man. So a lot of teams, I talked to the Buccaneers, and they was very impressed with how much man I played while I was at Campbell.
Again, we're chatting with the 2020 NFL Draft prospect, the standout cornerback out of Campbell University, by way of the University of Memphis, Kam Prewitt. And Kam, you were a pretty highly heralded player dating back to your high school days. You had a ton of Division I offers before settling in on the University of Memphis. What was your experience like at Memphis, and what ultimately led you to leaving the program, then going the JUCO route before landing at Campbell University?
I did have a lot of offers, like you said, but I ended up like after my junior year, the summer leading into my senior year, I went to a Memphis camp, and that's when they offered me. And I just fell in love with the coaching staff and ended up committing before my senior season even started. So a lot of schools that recruited me, I already knew that I was kind of solid to them. So I was just glad to be there. But while I was there, I was just a young kid, not taking care of the little things that matter, especially if you want to be great like I do. And I just didn't have the right mindset. All I knew was prime time. I didn't want to do the little things leading up to prime time, but it doesn't matter, big or small. So I ended up having to leave there, and I went JUCO route to see if I can get a handle on things.
Well, look at where you're at today. It looks like you certainly put a handle on things, and now here you are on the doorstep of the NFL. And Cam, you've been at Campbell University now for the past 2 years. For those not familiar, your head coach is Mike Minter, the former 10-year NFL safety for the Carolina Panthers. What's it been like learning and playing under him? Peel back the curtain a little bit, if you could. I mean, many are familiar with the player that Mike Minter was years ago, but what kind of head coach is he?
Oh, man, he's a real great mentor. Like, for any kid that has a long-term goal and that he wants to stick with it, he's real great for that, like, especially because he's been to a lot of places and accomplished a lot of things and goals. I was just glad to be on his wing, Anything you need, you can go talk to him about it, and he'll put you in the right direction.
Yeah, and I'm sure even if you're playing on the offensive side of the football for him, it's still a really cool experience. And again, a guy, like you said, that has experienced a lot when talking about the game of football, but especially for you being on the defense side of the ball, playing in the defensive backfield, I'm sure that experience was a little bit more greater for you. Mike Minter, of course, has been the head coach there at Campbell since 2013, and he's really helped grow that program in Blues Creek, North Carolina. It wasn't too long ago when the Camels were a part of the Pioneer Football League. Now they're playing in one of the more competitive conferences in the Big South. How would you grade the level of competition that you've gone up against in the Big South, Cam, the past couple of years, playing teams such as Kennesaw State, Monmouth every year? Was the overall competition level that you've seen in the FCS better than you had expected coming from the University of Memphis?
It was better than I expected because, coming from FBS to FCS, I expected, it wasn't going to be that good and just going to run through it. But no, you still have to work. Big or small, them guys compete in the Big South, so I was glad I got to be a part of that.
A few more questions for the 2020 NFL Draft prospect cornerback out of Campbell University by way of Memphis, Kam Prewitt. And Cam, Mesa Community College head coach Ryan Felker had some pretty high praise for you. He was quoted as saying you are the best defensive back that he's worked with. He sent over 40 defensive backs to the D1 level, some even to the NFL level. For those not familiar with your game, how would you describe it? What would you say is the biggest strength that you bring to the cornerback position?
I say my biggest strength, I can say man because that's about all I play. But if you have a specific guy that you want to take out of the game, limit, I can say that's my strength right there. Getting in that person's head and getting in him and taking away the best things that the other team likes to do. I can say that's part of my strength.
Yeah, the term shutdown cornerback gets thrown out there a lot, but that's really what you were there the past couple of years at Campbell, playing in the Big South. You were the Camels' shutdown cornerback. You had the ability to shut down one side of the field. And Cam, a lot of times we see cornerbacks shy away from contact, but that is not the case for you. Is that something that you enjoy and take pride in, the physicality that you bring to the cornerback position?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It just kind of went back to my high school days. We did a lot of one-on-one drills, and they kind of pushed physicality growing up, because we won a state championship. So I didn't want to fix what wasn't broken, so I just kept it going.
Absolutely, and again, it seems to have worked out just fine for you. Who are some guys that you like to study, maybe take bits and pieces of their game and add it onto your own? Is there any current or former NFL guys that you like to study?
I watched a lot of young Richard Sherman tape, Xavier Rose, Janoris Jenkins, and kind of put all their skill sets together and try to make it my own.
Certainly some of the best to have played in the defensive backfield as of recently. How about most memorable play that you've made throughout the past 4 years, Cam? When looking back at your collegiate career 10, 15 years down the road, what will be that first play that comes to mind?
Probably the last game of the season this year. I had got like 2 pass interference calls, and I was kind of going through it. And then at the second half, I ended up getting a pick and took it back for about 40 yards. So that kind of like describes my life, you know. Things don't go so well, and then come out on top on the end. So I like that play a lot.
Well said. Well said. Like you said, I mean, sometimes you go through some things, but it's what you do, and it's how you overcome the adversity. And like you said, in that game, got off to a little bit of a rough start, but you were able to finish it with an interception. Final question for you, Cam, then we'll let you go. Let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're listening to this very interview. Why should they want the cornerback out of Campbell University, Kam Prewitt, a part of their team?
I mean, who doesn't want a guy with a big chip on his shoulder and can compete with other guys, not scared of anyone, just want to play football and play it for a long time. I just don't want to make it. I want to be a part of it for a while. So I know any GM would love to hear that and see that.
Mm-hmm. You know what? One more thing for you, Cam. Back in your days at the University of Memphis, we're here in Chicago. So the Chicago Bears, they have Anthony Miller, obviously, who had had a great start to his career here with the Bears. Any matchups with Anthony Miller dating back to your Memphis days?
Yeah, I have a film with Anthony Miller, good and bad. Yeah, that's my guy right there. Yeah, we used to go at it at practice, but. He got a lot of reps with Austin Latin, now plays with the Jets. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we all 3 went at it a lot.
That's awesome, man. And hypothetically, I know you'd like to play for any of the 32 NFL teams that give you a look, Cam, but what would that be like to kind of reunite with Anthony Miller, play for a franchise such as the Chicago Bears, a team known for their legendary defenses, and a team that looks to bounce back after a disappointing year last year? But for you, Cam, what would it be like to play in a city like Chicago, reunite with one of your former teammates, Anthony Miller, and play for a team known for their stellar defense?
That would be big, especially to have a familiar face on the defense, and there's so much talent around me that would be around me on that defense. It wouldn't do nothing to make me better, so I would love that right there.
Absolutely. Well, Cam, really do appreciate you taking the time this morning, man. Congratulations on all the success. Again, tough situation this year in terms of the draft process with the pandemic that's going on in the country and all around the world, but sounds like you're certainly making the most of it with that mock pro day, with the all-star game appearances that you're able to take part in, and now here we are 3 weeks away from the 2020 NFL draft. Really looking forward to seeing where you land.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks a lot.